All right, hey guys, I am back. Let's talk about the latest episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I don't see it having a lot to going on, unfortunately. I didn't watch last week. Let's just be clear. I did not watch it last week because I just didn't find it interesting. And it was hard to watch it this week. But I did. I checked it out and I think it's season 15, episode 11. They're in Portugal. Now, my expectation for Portugal is that we're going to see a lot of the culture, the girls engaging in different themes that's very specific to the way, the way that, the culture does things like cooking, craft, cooking and dancing and just a lot of different things. I want to see more engagement with the culture. I was very disappointed to see that they went back and did a slumber party at the W Hotel. Like, girl, what else? There need to be more things to do, and I just didn't see it, and that was a problem. But let's start with where they left off. So apparently, Drew is dealing with some things, okay, and instead of saying that she's going through some things with her husband and not trusting him, okay, she's really having problems with her husband. Instead of saying that, she gets upset over Sheree. I mean, she's really, really upset over Sheree talking about this lawsuit, $1,000 lawsuit against Drew. Sheree went and told Courtney and whoever else about it, and it got back to her, and she's in her feelings. She was like, why would you, have this conversation about something that is very embarrassing, it's very trying, and all this kind of stuff. Now, Drew, let's take a step back, because you were quick to pass along information, gossip about Sheree not paying her workers or people that's working with her on She by Sheree or whatever project she's working on. You took information from a former assistant, I guess, of Sheree's, and you passed it around to everybody in the group. Sheree just returned the favor. Okay. When you are petty and messy and gossipy and someone meets you with that same energy, it's no point in getting upset about it. It's no point in you really getting upset and in your feelings because they returned the same favor. The hypocrisy is real. But anyway, so, they're back and forth. Drew gets upset. She runs outside. Kandi makes a comment and scene. Now, if you watch Speak on It, Kandi says that she was very unclear. Is this something that was done up because Eric, the producer, stepped in and says, okay, these ladies were having a conversation. They weren't getting to the point. It was kind of, I guess, wasn't given a lot of energy. They want to use the dinner scene and they can't because they're not getting anywhere. So Eric was like, y'all got to amp this up. So apparently Drew got to get more dramatic and start with the tears. And Kandi took that situation as being, okay, you're only doing this for the camera. I don't have to go run a check on you because I don't think it's authentic. Well, Drew gets outside. It's Sheree's trip. It's Sheree's, she's the hostess. She goes out to talk to Drew, and then so does Sanya, and then Kenya come out there. We find out that Drew's like, it's not about the $1,000. It's things that I just can't talk about, and I got things going on at home, and it's just a lot going on. It's not about the money. So when Kenya turned around, I was like, oh, because we can just divide, the $1,000 between the 8 of us and just pay like what, $125 a piece if you're not able to pay this $1,000. Kenya was still harping on the money, and Drew is like, no, it's not about that, but she's still not being open about it. So here's my thing about Drew. The season starts with her and Ralph. They're on this such a great page. They're doing so well with each other. Things is going great. And now we're at a point where obviously things are not going great. We find out that this person who is suing or sued Drew is also a person who's been inappropriate with Ralph. And so for some reason, Ralph is now promoting, I guess he's got a cookbook or whatever he's doing in Vegas. And this person is also in Vegas with Ralph. She doesn't trust Ralph. She's feeling she's not trusting her husband, and this is causing her anxiety. This is causing her to blow up. This is causing her the cracks in the marriage are beginning to surface, and there's really nothing that she's having a hard time holding that back. Why isn't Drew being authentic and telling the people that she's having marital issues is beyond me. You're on a reality show. You should be talking about your reality. And your reality is that you're having marital problems. That's your reality. So I don't understand this. I'm going to hold this back because you're not being truthful. To me, when you have these people on these reality TV shows, such as the Housewives of whatever franchise, if you can't be honest about what you're dealing with, I don't care which franchise it is, you don't need to be on this show or be a friend of the show. Because as a friend of the show, you don't have to go into detail about your personal life. That's something that you need to consider. And Drew, girl, so we get that. So they get back into, back to the dinner. Kandi comes back because she went to the bathroom. She was like, girl, she told Marlo, I'm not going to go check on her. I'm going to the bathroom. Kandi was sick. Kandi was just getting over whatever upset her stomach. So she was sick. And so Kandi comes back, they're talking, and we see Kenya brings up a point about Kandi not being around all the time. Kandi hasn't been around a lot, okay? Kandi was filming another television show. Well, she was filming The Chi. She was also filming the SWV and Escape show. That had a lot of controversy. So, and she's on tour with her group. So Kandi isn't available as much. And my guess is this, without them coming out and saying it, we're filming, we have to be here, we have to do X amount of scenes, we're getting paid X amount of dollars, you're getting paid more than us, and yet you're doing less work. We don't find that to be fair. I can understand that. Kandi isn't as engaged. And this is another reason why I feel like Kandi needs to go. I like Kandi, but she needs to go. Honestly, the whole cast can go because I don't see this cast just worthy of, I just don't see it. I think Drew would be okay as a friend of the show. Get rid of Sanya. She just doesn't fit in. Get rid of Marlo. She used to be funny as a friend of the show, but now, Sheree is forgettable. Kenya, time for her to go. She has worn out her welcome. I think she's done what she needed to do. Move on to something else. That's what I think. And truth be told, if Real Housewives of New York, the recast, because Real Housewives of New York hasn't been on in 2 or 3 years. I think they went off. I think their last show was 3 years ago. They took their time to regroup and redo this show. If they have a successful season, Housewives of Atlanta, you need to be put on notice because they're going to be looking at you next, okay? Because there's a lot of big salaries over there. Kenya and Kandi, I'm sure the biggest ones making the biggest salaries over there. They're gonna be looking at some things and redoing some things, okay? That's just all I'm saying about that. Now, so when Kenya brings it up, Kandi is like, I'm just trying to rebuild. I'm trying to do this and that and the third. And, the girls are like, well, you already are very successful. Like, what do you mean? And Kandi's just not feeling as though she's achieved whatever she wants to achieve. So she's constantly busy. I think Kandi is so used to being busy. I think Kandi is so accustomed to being busy. And, it's one of those things where she's very accustomed to always being on the move. And so it's hard for her to sit down. That's just what I think. Do I think Kandi wants to be on the show? As long as Bravo is willing to give her a check, she'll stay. That's just my opinion on that. So, okay, dinner's over. They have plans to go to some pottery place and do a little crafts, coloring, whatever, the next day. And then they're going to go to a grocery store, go to the market, as they call it, and pick up some things for a personal chef to cook for them. All right. So the next day comes, the ladies are getting on the van to go to the market. And for whatever reason, Kenya is late. Kenya is still in her room I don't know why. Maybe they didn't tell her the correct time to come downstairs on purpose. I don't understand, but she was late getting downstairs. And it's raining. It is raining outside. and it's a little slick. She got on flip flops, and she falls. Okay, Kenya falls down. So, and it was a hard fall. She really fell hard. So Kenya's got to get, on a stretcher. She's got to get taken to the hospital, and she asked Kandi to come with her. Kandi was like not wanting to go, but she didn't want to look bad and say, "Okay, I'll go." So she went, and they spent 8 hours in the emergency room waiting to get looked at and X-rayed and to confirm that she's okay and give her some pain meds. That's all that was. I'm like, ooh, child. But that's how ERs go in a lot of places. So it is what it is. The rest of the girls, they go to the grocery store, the market. They're picking out whatever they're going to eat, the fish and whatever, the vegetables and all of that. I was just not entertained by that at all. Then they go to this pottery place, and they're painting stars. Again, nothing exciting. I know the producers were like, child, they are grasping at straws here. They didn't really have anything to discuss. It was like the conversations was a bore. Sanya and Manetta pretend like they're in some kind of conflict, and then that was it. I'm like, this was just dry. They couldn't even have a decent conversation to engage us with, to make us excited. And I don't need drama. I mean, just having really good topics to like go back and forth, discussions, none of that. So that just made it even harder to sit and watch. Boredom, boredom, boredom. Now, we get back to the hotel, and they decide they're going to have, Sheree wants to have a summer party in her suite. So everybody comes down to the suite with the exception of Kenya. I guess she took medication and she's asleep. And when Kandi shows up, but she got the hair French braided, and she got on this, jogging pants, jogging shirt, this jacket. And when Sheree said, child, Kandi needs some more clothes. What is going on? Kandi looked like Cleo from Set It Off. And she did. She had on oversized everything. She looked disinterested. I'm like, girl. And I get it. She's busy. She's tired. She's been sick, blah, blah, blah. So they get there, and, the conversation comes up about supporting different projects in the group. Sheree was saying that she didn't feel supported by the ladies, and Sanya said, look, when we were expecting to get on the website after this fashion show, and it wasn't available. Then when we do get on here, it's hard to navigate. And, also what was a complaint, they didn't really tell Sheree this right away, is that it's overpriced stuff on there. Sheree makes, slick comments, and the ladies finally go on and say, okay, let's all get on here. Let's start ordering things, whatever the case may be. Child, I wouldn't have been peer pressured to order anything. The stuff wasn't ready. If it's overpriced, girl, no thank you. I just wouldn't have done it. But anyway, they did. Then what else did they talk about in there? I don't think they even talked about anything else. Oh, Drew, I forget. So then Drew wants to bring up how she was told that Kandi said, basically considered the situation that happened at the table with Drew getting upset and running outside. When she heard that Kandi said and scene, Drew was saying, you really thought that I was faking it or that I was putting on an act. I was truly upset, and that hurt me that you would say something like that. Kandi goes and says, well, girl, I've seen you in other situations having arguments, and you didn't get upset. You didn't start crying. Now all of a sudden you're upset and you're crying. I just didn't know what to think of the situation. So Drew was like, well, no, it was whatever it was. I was really in my feelings, and I expected something better from you. Now, Drew, let's be fair. It did seem kind of orchestrated, but I get that you're saying that Kandi, you thought that Kandi and you were cool, because you definitely are not friends. Okay, let's be very, very clear. You and Kandi are not friends. But, Kandi went ahead and said, you know what? I don't even want to even argue. She apologized for what she, saying the NC. Whether she's truly sorry, doubt it. But she apologized. All right, here we go. We're going to keep it moving. So production let us know that they stopped taping at 11:47 p.m. After that, I don't know who, I guess someone had a camera phone out. We get into a discussion about, I guess, South Carolina or North Carolina. I think it was South Carolina, and Courtney's from whatever town that is like 6 hours away from where the girls were for the bachelorette party, where Bolo was. And and then Drew's talking about, yeah, me and Ralph will go and visit this area. And Courtney was like, I know the house where you were staying at, and all this kind of good stuff. Some kind of way we get on Drew making out with Latoya. And Drew is denying. I have never kissed a woman. I don't know what you guys talking about. That is so not true. That is false. Kandi was like, girl, I actually watched. You were kissing on Latoya. You made out with Latoya. It's not a lie. One thing I don't do is lie. It ain't true. Marlo was asked in the confessional, was it true? And Marlo said, it's 80% true. But then she said, oh, the other 20%, Drew is such an actress. She just don't want to give Kandi any credit. I don't know what Drew's issue is. If you were kissing on Latoya, you were kissing on Latoya. So I didn't understand this whole situation. And we know they show you 3 months later, we're going to see Drew is in this movie about a woman in a relationship with another woman. And then there's these rumor mills, which I remember when the rumors came out that Drew is or has been with some woman named Tab. I guess, I don't know, child. It's rumor mill, it's alleged, whatever the case may be. So this is a build up to what's going to happen 3 months later. That's really the whole episode. It's not a lot going on. I didn't think I missed much from last episode. I decided to come here and talk about it because I just, I posted my review of the Carlos King and Nene Leakes interview, and I felt as though, a lot of things that Nene was saying about where the show is and the girls coming up with these different storylines and the fakeness of it all, I clearly can see where there's truth in that. I see, Drew trying to self-produce. I see Marlo basically admitted, to Carlos and during her interview, like, yeah, my whole purpose is to call Kandi out this season, make her very accountable for, being the person that don't want to talk about certain things and controlling narratives and all that kind of stuff. So, it's very orchestrated and produced. And that's something that isn't the basis of the show that Nene has mentioned to Carlos. Like, it didn't start off that way. We had genuine, organic situations. We reacted to them. And now it's all about, oh, I have to project this certain type of image. It's lacking authenticity. I see it. I have been seeing it. But I will also say this. Nowadays, when, I'm certain Sanya has seen Housewives of Atlanta before and understands the nuances of reality TV. You're supposed to come on here. You have to bring stories. You have to be entertaining. You have to invoke interest in order to keep your peach. Same thing with Marlo. Marlo has been a friend of for 10 years? And now that she's a peach holder, she has to constantly bring up things to be messy, to make sure that she, goes after the top peach holder, which is Kandi, and all of that. I mean, girls know the formula of reality TV. When Real Housewives of Atlanta started, there was no formula. The only types of shows that was out for reality TV were like Real World, Survivor, what else? I think that was it. Real World, Survivor. There were very few shows, reality TV shows, that had an ensemble cast that had to put on a show or put on an act. It just didn't exist. They didn't have a formula. So if you got on Real Housewives of Atlanta, it was because you have something to bring to the table. In addition to a personality, you have an interesting life that people want to see what it is that you do. I think that we're not seeing a lot of what goes on in Marlo's life. I think that we've seen everything we can possibly see at this point of Kandi. I think that with Kenya, I'm not sure what we should be seeing of Kenya. I mean, I know she's going through a divorce, but is there much more to see with the divorce? I don't know. Sanya just is, we see her family. We know that Sanya talked about in this episode the issue with her sister and brother in law, how they feel like they've been taken advantage of, and they probably won't be living with her much longer. Okay, that's fine. Drew, what's going to be interesting about Drew is the movie that she's doing, the rumor about her being with another woman, the divorce that she's going through with Ralph. So I guess this second half of the last, 5 or 6 episodes, we're going to be focusing a lot on Drew, I guess. But that's all I got. Talk to you guys later. Peace.